This thing came with a kind of like the plasticiest plastic nut I've ever seen. It's almost like it was plastic and then it got painted or something. It's really weird. I've never seen anything quite like it. So it's pretty easy to replace these. I'm going to put a bone nut on it. First thing you need to do, of course, whenever you're wanting to replace your nut, you need to have, if you're going to doing guitar work, you need one of these. This is just a cheapo Harbor Freight digital gauge, but these are great. These let you get the precise measurements. And like here, you really need to measure your neck width right there at the nut. Look at that. That's 42 millimeters. Most Les Pauls are 43. Most people are going to tell you get a 43 millimeter nut. This particular guitar needs a 42. So you need to measure these things and make sure you're getting what your guitar needs as a replacement. So that's sort of step one. I do have a 42 actually that I will be able to put on. Next thing you're going to want to do is go around the seam right at the bottom of the nut with the blade. I've already done it on this, so it's just kind of demonstrating. Go around all those little edges in here. And you're not trying to really cut. All you're trying to do is score the glue line right there. Because otherwise, if there's some excess super glue right there and you got to remove the nut, it's going to damage your board or it's going to pull something up. So I'm going to actually use a sanding block, a radius sanding block that you would sand a neck for, but any piece of wood will work for this. The best thing that I've found to do, the easiest way to get these off, just going to put your piece of wood right here on the edge and take a hammer, just give it a tap. Comes right off. Okay? You can see how shiny and terrible this thing is. It's horrible. All right. So that's how you get it removed. The next steps here are just going to be cleaning this off. So there's going to be some glue residue you're going to want to remove. I have my handy chisel. I use this thing a ton. And I'm going to use that just to kind of clean off, the vertical edge and the bottom edge as well. A little bit of old glue there that, I'll get off. And so this is pretty clean. What I'll do from here is get a precision file, just little cheapo file set. Let me see if I have one sitting here, if I'm going to have to dig it up off camera. I do. Okay. So I'm going to grab, this is literally a Harbor Freight Pittsburgh, Central Forge file set. These are fantastic little file sets. I'm going to grab the one that's, just a square because it fits in here nicely. And you want to keep this as flat as possible. Just kind of go over the bottom edge, making sure that this is all nice and smooth. So you got a good surface to glue to. And then you're going to do the vertical side as well. You don't have to do a lot here. You're not trying to go crazy with it. There's a little bit of a rough edge here, right on the edge of the board. Just knocking that down on this. You don't have to do that. That's just me being a little extra, I suppose. Okay, I'm just going to make sure again that this is nice and flat. Okay, so next step is going to be putting it on. I'm going to show you this real quick. So I was actually pretty happy with the action of this, like the height of the nut. So I have a replacement bone nut. It's a Geiger branded 42 millimeter, and like I said, exact width. So, again, you got to measure these things. But what I'm going to do here, I I'm not looking to cut the nut this deep. You can see how deep this nut was cut. I'm going to leave the size, cut that's already in it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit off the bottom, of sand on the bottom of the nut to get that to be where this one was. So you can just kind of line up the bottom of that string hole versus the bottom of the string hole here. And then you can see, and I marked it, that I just need to take off about that much. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to sand that down, and then I'm going to install it. All right, so moving on to the actual nut installation. Now, off camera, I went ahead and sanded the bottom of this down to the height that I wanted. When you do that, make sure your sandpaper is on a flat surface, and that way you can try to maintain the angles here. You don't want to have it shoot off and not fit in here. And you certainly want to test fit by putting your nut in there before you go to permanently install it. Make sure it's lining up the way you're expecting it to, and it's nice and nice and flush all around. Okay, so now the actual install process, pretty simple. I'm just going to use some Loctite liquid super glue. You're not trying to go nuts here. You're just trying to put a little bit of glue on there, just to hold it in place. I don't think this is where your tone comes from. I could be the minority on that, but okay. So now you need to be careful to get this in here lined up correctly, nice and even on each side. Just hold it there for a few seconds while super glue kind of does its thing, and that's really it. Let it fully cure, of course, ideally before you put your strings back on it. But in reality, some of these, or a lot of these, are just sitting with that much glue on them at all. So I don't know that it end of the world if you string it up and start playing pretty quickly. Could hold some of the, some of the pressure will hold that down a little bit. So anyway, there you go. Nice new bone nut. Oh, I also shined it a little bit with the nail polisher. Just the, standard $1, $2 fluffer. Got it nice and smooth, and so now we got a bone nut. Had our frets leveled, crown polished, frets reset in the right positions. We are making progress.